Hi, my name is Bente, I'm the Norse Witch, and this week's video is about my October, November and December witchy favorites. As always, first a little patron shout out for my tier 3 and above patrons. Thank you really much to Bethany, Asteriella, I don't know how to pronounce your name still. I'm sorry. Please tell me in the comments, how do I pronounce your name correctly? Tell, Timothy Murray, Bjorn Algis, Ash, Lucy Cummings, Lorna Lewis and Joss. Love you! And now, off to my favorites. I actually forgot to film a favorites video in ages, but I feel like in December there also wasn't that much that was added to the list, so I will just do my October, November and December favorites in one video because it's enough for one video, but not enough for separate videos. So one video it is. Let us start out with my cat drinking water. Sorry if you heard that, but it's cute, so who cares? Let's actually start out with the physical stuff this time, shall we? The first thing that I loved were 3 books. One I already talked about, and that is Spells for Change by Chaotic Witch Aunt. Really loved that. I also filmed a book review on that book, so if you want to watch that, it's up here. I think up here. The second one was The Way of Fire and Ice. It's a book about Norse paganism, and it's actually a specific tradition. The Way of Fire and Ice, that's the name of the tradition. It's a very inclusive way of living Norse paganism, and I loved that. I know there are some people who kind of dislike the book, mainly only because there's one part of the book where the author talks about the Antifa and how to work with them, like against racists and Nazis. I didn't really care about that. I would much rather have a section on the Antifa in a book about Norse paganism than a section about how to become a Nazi. So if you're looking for a book on really inclusive Norse paganism, then this book is for you. The author actually also tries to use the correct gender pronouns. I remembered especially that I think he uses the pronouns they, them for Loki, which I thought was really funny. And I think it made sense. So yeah, really inclusive book on Norse paganism. I really loved it. I recommend it. And the last one, oh, it's a big one. It's actually German, but there is, I have to take care that I don't burn the books. It's a German book. It's about Germanic magic by, let me see, the name is strange, by Gunivortus Goos. I hope that's pronounced correctly. It's thick. It's over 600 pages. It's really thick. And I don't know if this edition especially is available in English. I know that there is an English translation available, but I think this is a really new edition. So I don't know if it will be the same edition as this really thick one. I haven't read the whole thing yet because it's thick. I think I'm a 5th into the book and I really love it. I think I have only gotten through the historical part yet, and now I'm very shortly into the mythology part. Yeah, I will keep you updated. As soon as I'm finished, I will tell you how I liked the book or the rest of the book. But yeah, these 3 books I really liked. Spells for Change, The Way of Fire and Ice and Germanic Magic. And then we come to crystals, and I have 3 today. The first one is Lemon chrysoprase. I already talked about it in my video on crystals that I use to help with my anxiety. I really love it. I didn't even know it existed before. So yeah, it's great. I really love it. The second one is Eclipse or Bumblebee Jasper. It's this really swirly orange, brown, black, white, gray kind of jasper. I usually don't really vibe with jasper and agate, but this one, it's so fun. It looks so fun and it just gives me a lot of joy and energy. I love it. I mean, look at this. Look at this, these orange swirls. How can you not love them? They're amazing. I actually found them when I was looking for crystals that I want to sell in my shop. I didn't know it existed beforehand. And yeah, I really quickly fell in love with it. The only thing that I kind of dislike about it is that it kind of smells bad if you rub it, because there's sulfur in it and you can smell it a little bit. That's something that I don't like, but I really love the energies of this. And the last one is something that I've known for ages, and it's Angel Aura Quartz. Please focus. It's this, especially this tiny cluster, because as I said, I have known about this crystal for ages. But yeah, I just came across this tiny little cluster when I was shopping for crystals for my shop. Again, it's really bad. Every time I order crystals, I just keep some for myself, and the collection is growing and growing. It's not good. But I just instantly fell in love with it because it's so cute and so bright. There's so many rainbows on it. I love it. I actually haven't used it for anything specific yet. I just have carried it around with me, but Angel Aura Quartz is really great for communicating with higher entities. So for example, with deities, with your spirit guides. So I would really love to try to use it to maybe enhance my communication with my deities or with my guides during meditations. I think it would be great to use it when going on shamanic journeys to the upper world. I think it would be great for that. So that's something that I will use it for. But it's also just really pretty. Those were the crystals. And I actually have one herb, because the story behind it is that I went for a walk on my local cemetery, as always. I do that all the time. And I went to a place where I hadn't been that often before. The cemetery is huge. It's huge. So there's a lot of places that I can visit that I have never seen before. And I came across this one tree, I don't know, it's bigger than a proper shrub, but it's not as big as a proper tree. And I was like, your needles look really cute and they're stingy and I kind of love them. And I just kind of instantly felt the connection to that plant. So I started researching, and turns out it was juniper. And that's also why it's kind of in middle size, because normally juniper is a shrub. But there are some juniper plants that are actual trees that get like 5 or 10 meters big. That one wasn't that big, but then I suddenly realized that there were a lot of juniper trees and shrubs around the cemetery, and also in our backyard, a random one. So of course I collected some juniper, and come on, focus. Okay, then don't focus. Yeah, so of course I collected some juniper. Yesterday I actually researched about it and wrote down a lot of stuff about it. And yeah, I don't know what it is, but I guess you know the feeling when you come across some kind of plant or crystal or some kind of energy and you're like, okay, yeah, I vibe with that. That works. I love that. Yeah, I just had that with juniper. I really love this plant. I want to use it, for example, to cleanse my apartment. I haven't tried burning it yet because, yeah, I didn't have the time to make a bundle from it yet, but I have collected enough. So I will make an herb bundle, and I will probably hang some by my apartment door because it's widely known that it's used for protection, but especially hanging it by the door is supposed to ward off evil spirits or evil people. So that's probably something that I will try doing with it. So those were my physical favorites this month. But what have I experienced the last 3 months? Of course, I think the biggest thing that I experienced, and that was of course one of my favorites, was that I opened my online shop. I know it's not that witchy and not that pagan, but it's a witchy and paganism related online shop. So I wanted to put it in here. And also because it was such a big thing for me and so exciting. So yeah, that's of course the first thing. The second thing is that I started doing regular new and full moon rituals for Hel and Freya. For the full moons, of course, I do it for Freya, and for the new moons, I do it with Hel. And that has been really beautiful. For Freya, on the full moons, I usually do like me time stuff. For example, giving myself oil massages, because yeah, you can do that. Or cooking myself a really nice dinner, or in general, just eating something that I really love. Of course, like properly pleasuring myself. Yeah, just me time, taking time for myself and just doing whatever feels good in that moment. That's mainly what I do for her, and it feels really good. And for Hel, I do it on the new moons, and we mostly do like trauma work, which is hard, yes, but she makes it really easy for me. And yeah, I just notice the progress that I make. It's just some form of like deity therapy. I don't know. It just really works. I love it. It's hard. It's not that fun, but it's necessary, definitely. And yeah, as I said, she makes it really easy. So that's something that I really loved. Another thing that I started in October, actually, of course, for Samhain, was Ancestor Work. I had never done Ancestor Work before, and now I have a small ancestor altar, and I give offerings on new moons. I feel like I should do it more often, but I just forget a lot of the times. Shame on me. But I try to really regularly do that on new moons. Especially around Samhain, I just noticed that I just had this huge urge to honor my ancestors. It was crazy. I want to keep doing that, but the urge was especially huge during Samhain, which completely makes sense, right? It's Samhain. Another thing that I got into these last 3 months was tea leaf reading. It's really hard, I feel like. One time I did it, it was a huge success. Another time I did it, I was like, what the heck, I don't see anything and nothing makes sense. So I definitely have to practice that a lot. I realized that I have this tiny little booklet on tea leaf reading. It's originally really old, I think like, I don't know, the 19th century, 18th? I don't really remember, unfortunately, but I had completely forgotten about that tiny booklet that I had on tea leaf reading, and I read that, and I noticed that intuitively, because before reading that, I just read the tea leaves intuitively, and I did it in the reverse order of the one that was written in the book. Kind of strange, but yeah, I definitely have to practice more. I'm definitely far from perfect with it, but it's just really fun and I love tea. So duh, of course I have to do tea leaf reading, right? One thing that a couple of my friends and me started doing, I think last month, was that we actually started finding out our own correspondences for the planets, because we were doing some kind of book club where we were reading Psychic Witch. I mean, I already read it before, but we were talking about it. And at some point we came to the planetary magic section in the book, and we realized that our correspondences for the planets vary extremely, and that we were kind of struggling with some correspondences that are usually used. So we decided to just find out our own, and that has been really fun. I did it now for the moon, for Mars, for Mercury, and for Jupiter. So there are a lot left, but it's really, really fun. And sometimes stuff comes up where I'm like, where does that come from? And in general, it's really fun to find out your own correspondences to stuff, especially if beforehand you struggled with some correspondences, especially like color correspondences and stuff like that. And having your own correspondences just makes much more sense. And then all of a sudden working with them is much easier, and you get a feeling for the energy of the planet and how it, what it feels like, and you can much easier work with it all of a sudden. So that's great. And the last experience that made it on my favorites list for these 3 months was a specific walk that I took with Hell. I think I talked about it in another video already. I don't know if it was a vlog. I don't remember, but I took a walk on the cemetery for Hell and with Hell. And it was really beautiful because I instantly connected with Hell. It was just so easy. It was kind of, I was just thinking of connecting to her, and it was like, bam, she was there. And at some point I kind of let her guide me through the cemetery. I found some plants that apparently are connected to her. Yeah, so ivy, for example, and yew trees. On this walk, she actually showed me these plants and told me that they were connected to her. And that was really beautiful. And at some point of the walk, I just let her guide the way. So I let her tell me where I should go. And I kind of felt it, as if someone would push me or pull me to a specific direction, and then I would walk in that direction. And yeah, it was just a really intuitive and really spontaneous thing that was really, really beautiful. I had never connected that easy to an entity before. And yeah, those were my favorites for October, November, and December. And tomorrow will be a completely new year. That is crazy. Oh my God. But okay, as always, I really hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, make sure to subscribe and give a thumbs up, and follow me on Instagram, or check out my online shop, or maybe you even want to consider becoming my patron. Who knows? And I will see you in the next video. Bye!